All right, happy holiday. Thank you to everyone who decided to join us this Monday morning. It's President's Day. I'm pretty sure everybody's home right now, at least this early in the morning, before everybody decides to get up and go shopping for their meats and every shopping for their meats and their barbecue equipment and all this good stuff. But like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Very special early AM episode of Lions Avenue, joined by, of course, my main man in action, Ashanti Beasley. What's going on with you today, man?
Yeah, man. Hey. Happy Labor Day to you, my brother. The engineer, this whole thing, Walt Dollar bringing us in. We appreciate all that, man. And we ready. We ready, Walt. It's time. What up, Darcy? It's time, y'all. And can't y'all feel the air? You woke up this morning. It's a little bit crisper. The air is just wasn't
Oh yeah,
the humidity wasn't as
I had to
much.
close the window in the middle of the night, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been hearing people say I had to cut the heat on in the car this morning. Man, it's football time. I mean, with the collection of games this weekend. I just took one sidebar. I just took real glee into seeing LSU lose that game last night because I can't stand Brian Kelly. And just to see him frustrated again, I loved every minute of it. I like LSU as a college, as a team, as an
Yeah.
organization. I just think he's the wrong guy for that job, man. So I was glad to see USC win last night, just between me and you. But yeah, uh, let's get to it, Walt. The Rams are on deck, man. The Rams are our next game, Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
Raucous Ford Field. Man, you could just feel it, man. You can feel. Well, I think this game is going to be bigger than the last one. I just, even though the last one was a playoff game, we got all that bad juju, the stink of years past, disappointments. All that is over, man. I just think that now we can focus on just playing football now, all that other stuff. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it.
All right, man. First of all, I know you and I wanted to touch on what this team was last year,
Yeah.
compared to what they were in 2022. Last offseason, right before the beginning of the season, we did a show discussing what we felt the recipe would be for this team to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to the Super Bowl. We had no idea this team ultimately would make a NFC championship run, which is what they did.
Yeah.
But we had an idea of what it would take for this team to have some sort of sustainable success. You look at last season, prior to last season for that matter, we both discussed the idea that this team probably would need to be somewhere top 10 in stopping the run. They finished top 6 actually in stopping the run. You also talked about overall defensively,
Yeah.
where we
Yeah.
felt they needed to be as far as points given up last year. They was 23rd. We damn near hit it right on the head. We both agreed that heading into last season, they needed to finish somewhere between 18th overall and 22nd overall. They finished 23rd overall. Now, I think one big thing that needs to be upgraded is their ability to get off the field on third down, or
Yeah.
not even just third down, the takeaways. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how many yards per game you're giving up, the difference between getting to the Super Bowl and just reaching a championship game, a conference championship game, could be 3 or 4 turnovers.
That's
And
right.
you and I discussed in the pre-show, no one really cares about the points given up if Vildor would have made that pick last year.
Yes.
That pick would have been a completely different, um, well, not necessarily that, but it would have been a situation where we would have had a completely different view of what this defense was, because Aaron Glenn did still struggle last season in coverage. Now, we all agree that they made big time upgrades at the cornerback position. They made a couple upgrades at safety as well. So we expect them to be able to defend the pass a whole lot better this season. But in your estimation, what do you think this team needs to be doing defensively or offensively or just all together to make sure this train doesn't stop at the NFC Championship?
Yeah, yeah, good question, Walt. It goes into, first we gonna talk about Jared Goff later, but starts with Jared Goff. Offensively, this is an offensive league. I thought you was spot on what you said about, the defense being doesn't have to be a top 5 defense for this team to win the Super Bowl. I mean, look at Kansas City the last couple years. Like last year, the defense was better. You know what I'm saying? When you got Chris Jones, he makes up the difference for a lot of things. But the first their back-to-back champion Super Bowls the year before, defense wasn't that great. They were in the 20s. You know what I'm saying? From 15 to 20, I think, all season. So like you said, you just got to be able in key moments to get off the field, to not let your defense get stuck out there in bad situations, to get off the field. And I think that this team, now, having Aiden Hutchinson, I think for me, I want to be able to see more pressure, man, on the quarterback. I think that's number one. I think, you got one guy in Aiden Hutchinson who constantly is in the backfield. You know what I mean? I think he led the league in pressures last year with like over 100. I think something ridiculous like that. And you had Lee McNeil, who give you some pressure up the middle, but it wasn't enough. And it was like after those two guys, it was nothing, man. The year before it was James Houston came through with about 8 sacks in 7 games or something like that in his rookie season. So what I'm getting at is, I mean, we could absolutely improve and allow our team to become a Super Bowl unit if that defense can just tighten up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? This teams knew that we couldn't cover in certain spots. Just for instance, like remember last year we played the Cowboys, and it was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, and we just could not get off the field. And I think that's the difference.
Yep.
In those key spots. I mean, not every time, but if just for instance, like I think with CD Lamb caught that ridiculous 90-yard touchdown play. Remember that play last year? I think it was like 3rd and 18, if I'm not mistaken, or 3rd and 15, and you give up a 90-yard touchdown. It's unacceptable, man. If you're trying to get off the field in that, what I'm saying is if you stop them on that drive, probably that game goes a different direction, and then we don't get into the Decker reporting thing and how that game ended, but it probably wouldn't have went into that situation if we just get off the field on that drive. So just like you said, Walt, maybe 4 or 5 first downs denied the other way. It's a different story. We talking about this team in the Super Bowl. For me to answer your question real quick, other than Aiden Hutchinson, can Marcus Davenport be that guy, man? We can DJ Reader be a Dominican Sue type and get 8 or 9, 10 sacks from the interior position. You know what I'm saying? I just seen somebody mention Tyrell Williams, and I do believe that's a situation where that could turn the attitude of this team and make them not so passive. You know what I'm saying? To go out and be aggressive, go out and eat, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think we got the players. Well, we got the team to do it. I mean, the defensive line, I just think it's some room to grow there. The secondary, a lot of people, I talked to a lot of people around town talking about secondary. They're still worried about it. I'm not. I believe Terrion Arnold's a player, man. I just think it's going to take some time, obviously. But I don't think that I'm misspeaking by saying I just believe that Terrion Arnold can be the guy. I'm not going to just put Pro Bowl on his name or say anything, put pressure on the kid right now. But I just believe he's the guy. I mean, from the tools, I didn't really feel like, okay, Nick Saban. This is a perfect example. Like Nick Saban said, every time, every practice, every game, this kid seemed to got better, and I just think he's on the upswing of his NFL career. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just think that it's the sky's the limit, and I think he can get better. You know what I mean? From year to year, or play to play, or game to game in the NFL. So for me,
Yeah.
it's pressure on the quarterback. I want to see it, man. Then if you get pressure on the quarterback, everything changes. The cornerbacks are better. Our linebacking core is better. Everything's better when you can maybe throw that quarterback off a half a second and make him deliver that ball quicker than he wants to. So
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Mike Marcus 301 just said. I don't see Reader for getting sacks. I see him occupying players so Aleem and others can get in there. That's pretty much what he was brought in for. He was a complete upgrade over Bugs and anybody else they would plug in right there. Reader is an elite nose tackle
yeah,
slash one tech who, when healthy, whether it was in Houston or it was in Cincinnati, when he's healthy, he's a guy that can push the interior of the offensive line.
Yep.
He's a guy that must be double teamed. You must double team him, especially when he's out there healthy. Then you're talking about Aleem getting one-on-ones. You're talking about Marcus Davenport getting one-on-ones, Aiden Hutchinson. Even for a guy like coming off that 5 tech or that 6 tech in James Houston, another guy who we hope
Yeah.
has a big impact this season.
Yeah. Josh
But I want
Pascal
to,
too.
yeah, Pascal too. I
Yeah.
want to bring up something to piggyback off what you were talking about as far as the Dallas Cowboy game and CeeDee Lamb. Everyone knows how elite the run defense was last year. And I do understand, aside from lack of talent at the cornerback position, a lot of the gaudy passing numbers teams put up against our secondary had to do with the fact that they abandoned the run against us early. A lot of teams abandoned the run against us early. But if you look at the secondary last year, if you're talking about net yards gained per pass attempt, we were 29th in the league. You're talking about touchdown passes given up, we were 27th in the league. Passing yards given up, we were 27th in the league. Pass attempts given up, we were 22nd in the league. First downs given up through the air, we were 22nd in the league.
Yeah.
So a lot of that can actually be contributed to the fact that teams couldn't run the ball against us, so they had to throw the ball on us.
Yeah.
Another big part is the fact that the cornerback position was not really good last season. They paid Cam Sutton, even though they didn't give Cam Sutton big time money,
Mm-hmm.
but they paid Cam Sutton to come over here and be a quote unquote lockdown corner. He wasn't that in Pittsburgh. I thought it was more so of him benefiting from that pass rush he had in front of him and TJ
Yes.
Watt and Cam Hayward and all those boys. You got Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary. They had a lot of good players on that team where his set of responsibilities was not what he was expected to do here in Detroit. So I
Yes.
think a lot of that was okay. You know what? People felt like, well, Cam Sutton isn't good. No, I think Cam Sutton's still a decent player. He was just asked to do things that were outside of the realm of what he was capable to do here in Detroit. But I think it's obvious that if we can get, like you said, if we can get a better pass rush, better cornerback play, I think the cornerback play is a little bit bigger because you and I discussed this, as you just said. CeeDee Lamb had damn near 200 yards on us in the first half.
Hmm.
Justin Jefferson,
Justin
good for 200
Jefferson.
yards against us every damn game the Vikings
Yes.
play us.
Even Jordan Addison too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan Addison.
Mhm.
You saw what Puka Nacua did to us in the playoff game.
Yeah.
So teams recognized last season, okay, you know what? Hutchinson, he can get a lot of pressures, but he can't really get home like that consistently. Outside of Aiden Hutchinson, this team
Yeah.
doesn't have anybody else for us to really worry about on the opposite end of the defensive line. And
Yeah.
then you're talking about Cam Sutton and Vildor and Jerry Jacobs to a lesser extent early on in the season.
Yeah.
Teams knew,
Revolving door. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Revolving door.
teams knew that if they had stud wide receivers, that they could beat us on the outside. So I do
Mhm.
think the cornerback position is much better from a talent standpoint. You're talking about Carlton Davis, even though Carlton Davis isn't anything really special, but he is a 6'2", 200+ pound man coverage corner who can line up on the outside and handle some people. Now, hopefully, he doesn't turn into another Cam Sutton situation. But you're talking about investing your top 2 draft picks and cornerbacks in Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold. You're talking
Yeah.
about going out and signing Amik Robertson, another nickel corner from the Raiders. This team is ready to play. I
Mhm.
expect them to be a whole lot better defensively. And off them numbers I gave you, I want to ask you a quick question. As bad as those numbers were, we were bottom half in the league, mid to bottom half in the league against the pass last season.
Yeah.
Where do you think we need to be rankings wise against the pass this season?
Good question. Good question. Just like Turner just said, Ray, I ain't sleeping on Ray Straw. I didn't mention him. Shh. He's the biggest. I think he's the biggest secret that the Lions have on their defense. I don't think no one, the league probably executives know Enos Rakestraw is, but very excited. Turner, good point by you. I mean, I'm excited for Enos Rakestraw. Like I said, I think he may be a better cover corner. I mean, this is what I mean. Okay, Walt just mentioned man coverage. I think Carlton Davis being a good man coverage corner. Okay, that situation will take care of itself if we can get pressure on the quarterback. I think if we could uh, get there with three down linemen or four down. It's hard to do it for three these days, but just say four down linemen. If we can get there, we can get home. Boy, Ray Straw is going to look awfully good. You know what I'm saying? Boy, Amik Robertson is going to look awfully good. It's a method to the madness. I think yep, and I like Makai Ringo too. I was happy we got him on the draft too. Another guy. I think he might have took somebody's spot. To be honest with you, he will. That's my bold prediction for him by the end of this season. But yeah, ranking wise, well, I would say top 10. You know what I'm saying? If you had to ask me right now about this defense, I think we were like what you say 23rd, 24th. I would say I say top 15. You know, put us in the top 15 and it's going to be hell to pay. You know what I'm saying? I think you put us in the top 10, I think it could be Super Bowl for this team, man. I think the sky's the limit. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that. You know, only people the Lions haters and people gonna laugh and say, yeah, right, whatever. But they got the players, man. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? Think about how far we came, and we didn't have the talent. I think, Walt, this is a team that's probably going to have 5 new people on defense. You know, that plays a
Yeah.
role on the defensive end. You know, and we mentioned Straw Arnold, uh, Makai Ringo, and Meek Robertson, Carlton Davis. Those guys are all brand new guys. And then you mix them in with a second-year guy in Brian Branch. You mix them in with a third-year guy, Kirby Joseph comeback, who's a ball hawk. You can move Branch around and just kill people, you know what I mean, from his spot. You bring in Marcus Davenport. You bring in DJ Reader. I mean, this is a team. Let's give Brad Holmes some props, man, of just building his team and didn't stand on his laurels. And you know, I like what
Oh
he
yeah.
said that Brad Holmes like, look, we expect to win the Super Bowl. What you want the man to say? You know what I'm saying? Oh well, we played good last year and some good things happened. Let's just see what might happen. No, he's like, look, we went in the Super Bowl, and he's proven. We didn't even talk about the offense yet. You know what I'm saying? We haven't even went that far yet. We just talking about the defense. So for me, top 15, Walt. That's what I want to see. I think that's where they need to be able uh to handle the Packers, to handle the Bears, you know, to handle just the teams in our division. They have to be. Now, if it's a letdown defensively, they're gonna be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because I think our division now is turned into, 17-10 games ain't gonna hit it no more. I think, you're gonna have to score 24, 27 to win a game in this division. Even with the Vikings, I think you're gonna have
Yeah.
to be able to score. So yeah. So I top 15 for me.
Yeah. I see Turner Burley also has top 15. I want to go back to um defensively last year. If you look at the run defense, and as I said before, a lot of what happened in the past game can be directly attributed to the fact that we were so elite against stopping the run last year.
Yeah.
If you look at last season, we were third in attempts. Teams only ran the ball on us 408 times last season for 1509, which made us second in the league in stopping the run. We're second in the league in rushing yards given up, which is great. We were third in the league in rushing yards per attempt given up at 3.7, which is excellent. Now we
Yeah.
were 17th in the league in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns given up with 15. A lot of those were short ass touchdowns. Just being
Hmm.
real about it. And
Yeah.
those short red zone touchdowns came from the fact that 40-yard plays to CD Lamb, 55-yard plays to Puka Nakua and Justin Jefferson and who else?
Yeah.
Um,
What's the kid play for Tampa?
Keenan Allen for the
Yeah.
Chargers last
Yeah.
year, like
Yeah.
DJ Moore, like
DJ Moore, I was gonna say,
yeah.
yep, for the
So it
Bears.
was it was chunk plays. Teams weren't
Mhm.
really matriculating the ball downfield into the red zone against us. It was those chunk plays in the
Mhm.
past game that was getting teams down into the red zone to punch it in. So I'm not tripping on the rushing touchdowns as much as a lot of people did last season.
Mhm.
My thing is, and it goes back to it. Once teams abandon the run on us, that's if we're elite against the run again. Once teams decide to abandon the run on us and decide to throw the ball a lot,
Mhm.
can we get off the field on third down?
Yeah, man.
Can
That's
we stop giving up these third and 17s, these third and 24s, like stuff like that? Because we saw CD Lamb. Now, granted, as great as CD Lamb was in the first half of that game against us, we did a great job, and this is credit to Aaron Glenn, of shutting him in that rushing game and Dak Prescott and everything else down the rest of that game. We just had some situations, aside from the most glaring situation that happened towards the end of the game, but we had too many empty possessions, I think, offensively
Yeah.
last year in that Dallas game. But like I said, as long as we're elite against the run again this year, and we have upgrades at cornerback, can those cornerbacks make those key stops? Now, what I'm scared is the fact that these aren't a bunch of veteran upgrades. So fans have to understand that there's a good chance Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw aren't going to come in to be Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey,
Mhm.
initially. Now, can they develop into that? Sure. But we have to also understand that these guys, as rookies, they're going to have their ups and downs. There's going to be Sundays, Sunday nights, Monday mornings where we're going to wake up and say, well, and hopefully we won't do it because we have to have some type of context towards all of this. Fans don't wake up Monday morning saying, oh, we drafted the wrong corner in the first round.
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
shouldn't draft the Rakestraw because Rakestraw had a rough game against this team, or Terrion had a rough game against DK Metcalf, or he had a rough day against DJ Moore or whatever. As rookies, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to
Yeah.
take their lumps. But I think that if you look at the community of the cornerback room, with all the guys I mentioned, they may not have a number one lockdown corner, but they're strength in numbers for sure. And I think they got a bunch of versatile guys who can mix and match and play different things. We haven't even mentioned Ifiatu Melifonwu, who I think
Yeah.
is going to play a lot of corner this year,
Yeah.
depending on matchups as far as in line or outline with tight ends and whatnot. So if
Yeah.
you look at the cornerback position overall, are you more focused on turnovers or being like top 10 in the league in yards given up? Because personally, I don't think they have to go from 27th or 29th in the league against the pass to top 10. I think if they can go from 27th or 29th to somewhere around 17th,
Hmm.
they don't
Yeah.
have to necessarily be top 10. As long
They
as
don't
there's
have to be.
somewhere, yeah, as long as there's somewhere where it's obvious that, okay, you know what, the big difference in this defense this year was a, a minus, a plus, and 300 yards in the pass game.
Yeah.
Or it may have been going from 11th in the league in takeaways to ninth in the league in takeaways. I'm just more so keen in on getting off the field on third down, which is sacks.
Hmm.
And when you push those opposing offenses into third and longs,
Yeah.
are you
Then
giving, all right, get off the field on third and
yeah,
17,
good
get
things
off the
happen.
field on third and 14. Exactly.
Yeah, good things happen. You know, Walt, just to say, just to back up your point about the Rams real quick. The Rams, dude, they got two guys on their roster on offense that's under 30 years old. Everybody else is 30 and under. So why I bring that up is the Rams are, like, to me, like, right where the Lions are. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the Rams made a big jump. They got 16 new guys on their roster. I really like this team as far as the Rams go, and I think it's not going to be an easy game, period. I think the Lions are better, but when you look at it, Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, you got Tutu Atwell. We haven't even been talking about Cooper Kupp, who's always open. That guy's always open. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, Demarcus Robinson. Watch out for rookie wide receiver Jordan Whittingham. He was a beast in
Texas.
preseason. I've a
Yeah.
Texas preseason. I like Davis Allen from Clemson. I think this is his second season at tight end. They got Hunter Long, Kobe Parkinson. Steve Avila, one of the top centers in the league, up and coming centers in the league. Jonah Jackson from the Lions. Joe Noteboom is there too. Listen, this team is good, man. You know what I mean? Period. So the Lions going to have to score some points to beat the Rams, which I don't think that's going to be a problem either, because the same issue for the Rams is on defensively. I think as you count their roster, they got three guys, I think, that's over 30 years old. So experience is going to be a must. Kobe, what's his name? Turner. Oh man, Kobe Turner, one of the top young defensive tackles in the league. They got Braden Fisk in the draft this year, which we both like. Tyler Davis from Clemson. Jared First. They got Byron Young. I just think this. I just want to put it out there. I think that this team is formidable, man. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a perfect scenario, perfect test, Walt, for this secondary to go against a veteran quarterback in Matthew Stafford. So
All right, for sure, for sure. So we want to jump into this last segment, Jared Goff. You brought up a very, very interesting question on whether or not fans around here believe Jared Goff can lead this team to a Super Bowl. I personally believe he can. Anytime I've seen you do something once, I know you're capable of it.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, situations play a major role in whether or not quarterbacks can get it done. But Jared Goff is a guy who, going back to the University of Cal, that was a horrible program when he took over. They didn't win a whole lot at Cal, but he did manage to help turn things around, turn that program around. He went to a terrible situation with the Rams under Jeff Fisher. That situation was toxic there because Jeff Fisher never wanted him there. That was a bad team when he took over there. They brought in Sean McVay, made some big time draft picks, traded for some big time names. Next thing you know, Goff is leading that team to a Super Bowl. So it's
Mhm.
obvious that he can do it. He's won everywhere he's been at. He's been a major part in the turnaround for three different teams that he's been at. We're talking about him being at the University of California. And as I mentioned in the pre-show, I think a lot of people have turned me into a Goff defense attorney because I wasn't a huge Jared Goff fan either when he first came here. But I believe a lot of people, especially in the national media, they're still hung up on what he used to be and not acknowledging the fact that this man is now in the early prime years of his career. This is when Detroit got him. Detroit got a different version of Jared Goff. We have a prime Jared Goff now. And I do believe he has the ability to lead this team to a Super Bowl. Is he an elite physical talent like a Mahomes or Josh Allen or one of those guys? No. But this is a guy who I'm a big advocate of the fact that I believe guys can be quarterbacks for that matter, can be elite within their system. Is he an elite physical talent? No. But this is a guy who's going on, was it year 4 now,
Mhm.
within a system that was actually designed for him to be successful. So within this system, you look at all the studs that he has around him at running back. He's got. We all hope Jameson Williams is back to the JMO we saw at the University of Alabama. He's got St. Brown. He's got a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. He's got a Pro Bowl caliber offensive line. Now, how deep that offensive line is a whole nother story. But a better defense, another defense that's top 5, top 6 in the league against the run, if they can get better against the pass, force some turnovers, get off the field on third down, give Jared Goff shorter fields so he doesn't have to always orchestrate 13, 14, 15 play drives.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe he can do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way like you, real quick, because I know we run out of time. But I think that Golf can absolutely lead this team to a Super Bowl, man. I mean, I think it was getting ready to happen last year. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That San Francisco game was proof that he could do it. I mean, I would have loved to see. It would have been only fitting to me in that game if it would have came down to like one drive to go 70, 80 yards to send us to the Super Bowl, that type of thing. I think that's the kind of uh, uh, quarterback Goff is his own precision, on timing. Um, I'm comfortable with Jared Goff, man. You know what I'm saying? I really am this year. I'm comfortable because I think he's got this offense. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's out there and kind of like ad libbing a little bit. I think he's got enough playmakers to make it work. You know what I'm saying? I think he can slide the pocket just enough. I think the time you can count on St. Brown. You know, you can count on he's gonna be there when the ball's delivered. Jameson Williams is the guy that we need to really take off for this team to just be dangerous, man. You know, Laporte is gonna get his. You know that Jahmyr Gibbs. I think you know what I think about Jahmyr Gibbs. I think this is going to be the year Jahmyr Gibbs just ascends to one of the top running backs in the league, and that's not to slight anybody else. I just think he's that good. I think Ben Johnson, a perfect play caller, is going to get him the ball. Then you got Monty to drop the hammer down when we need it, man. Off good offensive line. Jared Goff's got everything he needs. I think he's more than capable. Remember, I said last year, you don't have to be great. But I do. I said last year, I don't think he has to be great. This year, I think he does, Walt, because now we've seen he doesn't have to be great for this team to win the division and maybe win a playoff game. Okay, but now Jared Goff, he's got a responsibility too. He's got to elevate his game, and if he wants to hold that Lombardi trophy up for the city, man, he's gonna have to be able to get to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock against him, or it's not saying that he's not good. He can be. You know what I'm saying? He can be. And credit Brad Holmes for getting him what he needs, man, to be successful. You know what I'm saying? I think that's number one, because we live in a microwave society. And if it don't work in 1 or 2 years, teams, the fan base, everybody's like, move on with this guy, go to the next guy. And they've stayed the course. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Laporta. Look at Laporta, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond, Jameer Gibbs, and Dave Montgomery. Sione Vaki's a question mark. We don't know. And then hopefully the two Allen Robinson can give you something. You know what I'm saying? As well as the other guy from Denver. I can't think his name off the top of my head. The receiver we just got. So hopefully one of those guys can fill a Josh Reynolds role. But I'm confident, Walt. I got more than enough confidence in Jared Goff this year. I mean, he's not the issue. He's not. He's really not in my book. So we'll see.
No, I agree. To answer Trey's question, glad having you back too, Trey. You was
Yeah,
down with us from the very beginning.
this day one.
How
What's up,
many
Trey?
years? Yeah. How many years do we give Jared Goff if he never wins the Super Bowl?
Good question.
I think it's all based upon how things unfold. If he's obviously not the issue, because I think a lot of times as fans, when teams keep getting there but don't win it, the first guy we look to replace is, if it's not the head coach, is always the quarterback. But my thing is, as long as he's playing at a high level and he's obviously not the reason that we're falling short, you ride with him. We could easily have situations where we lose a Super Bowl or lose in the NFC Championship, and the reason that happened was because it could have been miscues coaching wise on Dan Campbell's behalf, or it could have been miscues play calling wise on Ben Johnson's behalf, or it could have been a situation like last year where it was a Vildor blown play, or was a fumble here, it was a drop on third down, fourth down. I can't just say get rid of the guy if it's not his fault. Sometimes teams can just be snake bitten. Bad things can happen, but as long as it's not his fault and it's obvious that he's still playing at a high level, you ride with that, because we've seen around the NFL, it's difficult to get a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson. It's even more difficult to find just a consistent guy who can Sunday in, Sunday out, get you to wins and put you in position to win. I think with Jared Goff, with all the talent we have on defense, he can at least do that at a very high level. So with me, like I said, as long as he's playing at a high level and he's not the reason that we're failing or falling short, you ride with him.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer that real quick too. What's up, Trey? That's a very good question. I did want to say just 3 years. I think his contract was for 3 years. Then we signed him for another 3 years. I think it was. He's got the time that's on his contract in my book. That's a very good question, by the way, because like you say, you're not going to go with him for the next 5 or 10 years. Obviously, 3 years, the length of his contract. Then we'll revisit it. You know what I'm saying? After the 3 years, we know we got Hendon Hooker. And I think the best case scenario for Hendon Hooker right now is to have Jared Goff be successful and he continue to learn. You know what I'm saying? Because when that bridge does, when that time does, it's gonna come a time this organization gotta make a decision, but it ain't right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not right now. So, yeah, I'm saying 3 years. I think this team has a 2 or 3 year window. You know what I'm saying, to win the Super Bowl, and I think that's the goal. I think Brad Helms would probably tell you that. So, yeah, 2 to 3 years for me.
All right, man, that's gonna wrap it up. We're not gonna hold y'all up too long on this holiday, this Monday morning. I know a lot of people got things to do. Y'all got barbecuing to do. You got families to visit, college football to watch and catch up on. So with that being said, man, we'll be back in a couple days to start attacking these LA Rams. Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, that very young attacking defensive line. How does our offensive line handle that? Defensively, what do we need to do? What does Aaron Glenn need to do to be able to slow down Matthew Stafford? Can he slow down Matthew Stafford? And what type of game do we expect? Do we expect another tight playoff game, wild card game, but do we expect our lines to go out there and set the tone, send a message to the rest of the NFL, and blow these Rams out? So please join us this week. It's Rams week. Happy holiday.